Your Excellency, Archbishop Jose Palma, Archbishop of Cebu. Okay. You're going to make me shorter here. That's good, yeah. Bishop Pablo David, President of the CBCP, brother bishops, brother priests assembled in great numbers, dear religious, laity here in this beautiful cathedral, Cebuanos, one and all, Filipinos. It gives me so much joy as your Apostolic Nuncio to greet you at the end of this extraordinarily beautiful liturgy. And certainly as we come to the end of this liturgy, we are feeling sentiments of gratitude, of thanksgiving, and of deep appreciation for the gift of this year in which we've celebrated 500 years since the arrival of the gospel of Christ here in the Philippine Islands. This year that has been lived intensely by us, notwithstanding the limitations of the COVID pandemic. This year that, in a certain sense, concludes with the liturgy today, but as Bishop David reminded us, the indulgences which Pope Francis has conceded for this year continue all the way until December of this year. What do we celebrate 500 years after the arrival of Christianity? We celebrate the event, the moment in which the light of Christ arrived here. That light which is life, that light which is life, the life of God which came to the Philippines 501 years ago. In the gospel that we heard from Mass today on this Divine Mercy Sunday, St. John writes at the end of his gospel that he's written these things so that you may believe, and that believing you may have life in his name. The message so that you believe and have life. The Christian faith is life. Life is given to us in baptism. Just like natural life, biological life, seems to have arrived in the oceans of the world first, so spiritual life comes into us through baptism and is nourished by the Eucharist and changes us and transforms us and prepares us for what we confess at the end of the Nicene Creed on Sunday, the life of the world to come. The life of the world to come. Because the life that we receive, the life that came here 500 years ago, doesn't end. It is preparing us for a life that will never end. This supernatural life that we call God's grace, which has permeated Filipino society and has imbued your culture with a beautiful richness, which we see in so many different aspects, especially and most particularly in the great love of the Filipino people for the Santo Niño, whose veneration we have celebrated this morning. So for me, dear brothers and sisters, as a representative of Pope Francis, it gives me so much joy to be with you now this afternoon to celebrate this Mass in joyful commemoration of the 500 years since the arrival of the light of Christ. I ask you as a representative of Pope Francis to pray for Pope Francis. He always asks us to do that. He asks me to ask you to do that, and I do that again this afternoon. Please pray for Pope Francis, and let's remember to keep our faith strong. Let's remember that the mission of the Church, and we see these beautiful missionaries prepared to bring the Catholic faith, the light of Christ, the life of God to other places in the world. That life begins in our families. And really, in the end, there are no more important missionaries than fathers and mothers, because they are the ones who not only give natural life to their children, biological life, but also give the light and life of the Catholic faith to their children. So parents, grandparents, remember that you are missionaries in the most profound sense of the word. We do all of these things under the watchful eyes of Mother Mary, Mama Mary, who loves us and intercedes for us. So God bless you, and happy 501st birthday.
My dear brothers and sisters, mga hinigugma, diya ni Cristo. With the celebration of the Eucharist, with the closing of the Second National Mission Congress, with the mission sending, and with the procession this afternoon, we have come to the closing activities and ceremonies of the culmination of 500 YOC. To all of us, this is a day of rejoicing and thanksgiving. As the responsorial psalm exhorted us, give thanks to the Lord. He is good. His love is everlasting. May I ask you to, first of all, give thanks to the Lord by giving the Lord a big round of applause. Very briefly, if you recall, we have prepared for this year and this day 9 years ago. We started with planning for different focus every year. 2013, year of integral faith formation, followed by year of the laity, year of the poor, year of the Eucharistic family, year of community, of communities, year of the clergy and religious, year of the youth, year of dialogue and indigenous people, and ecumenism. And this year, the focus is year of mission. These past years, we have tried to address the aspects of the celebration, namely formation, celebration, legacy. Looking back, we know that the journey was not a joyride. There were definitely both joys and difficulties. Yet we look back, first of all, to thank God for the visit of the Holy Father 2015, for Cebu hosting the International Eucharistic Congress 2016. And yet 2020, COVID came, followed by Typhoon Udet. In all of these, we often say, Señor Santo Niño is with us. He is atong kusog, panahon sa kalipay, o panahon sa pagsulay. In moments of darkness and difficulties. We also look back and call on Mama Mary with COVID, the pandemic, and Udet. How we pray the rosary. And we declared, never was it known that anyone who fled to your protection, implored your help, or sought your intercession was left unaided. 2 years of fear, but even more so, 2 years of great trust. Then we were made aware that even with COVID, the church that we often see, people in our cultural heritage churches coming in droves and big numbers, were no longer found because of restrictions. And yet, we realize the church is not only people who come to our churches made of stone, but the many who stayed in their homes and prayed the rosary. and join with us in the many virtual masses. How inspiring to know the development of church in the home and of the church that is linked with one another through social media. That's how we look back to the past. Yes, we also realized that the church of prayer should be translated to the church of sharing and giving. How inspiring to know how much we have mobilized, that those who are locked down, those who have nothing to buy food because of lack of money and of course no work, were continually fed daily by the thousands. Yes, it's not just faith, but faith in action. That is our church. And so today, we have come to a point wherein there is more ease, and we are glad we're able to celebrate not only virtually, but physically. Today is a day of rejoicing and thanksgiving, and so I may not be able to call all of you by names, but allow me just to mention a few, knowing that all of you are in our hearts here in Cebu. First of all, of course, our hearts are grateful to our Holy Father, for we know He truly remembers us. When He came here for the victims of Yolanda, but even when in the presence of our Papal Nuncio, he approved of many of our requests, among others, of course, the permission to have churches open for indulgences and graces. So, our thanks to our Holy Father, Pope Francis, certainly should become part of the celebration. Let's give the Holy Father a big round of applause. We have listened to our Papal Nuncio. You will recall last year for the opening ceremonies, he was with us. 11, 12, 13, remembrance of baptism, of confirmation, and of course the Eucharist. But on the 14th, the Papal Nuncio presided at Mass here in celebration of the first baptism. He was with us, and today he was with us starting yesterday to crown, canonically crown our image of Mama Mary, Patrocinio de Maria, and Bulhoon, with a huge crowd as well. We know our Papal Nuncio loves us. Let's give our Papal Nuncio, Charles John Brown, a big round of applause. Bishop Pablo Virgilio David, our CBCP president, has certainly inspired us with a sermon so fitting for mission. We know he is both our choice, but to us, he is God's choice for us today in moments when we needed a voice that's truly rooted in scriptures and fruit of prayer. Bishop Ambo, daghan kayong salamat for your presence today. We thank Bishop Sok Misiuna, the chairman of Second National Mission Congress, with of course, with many of his assistants, many of his collaborators. Just for information, 4 years ago, the members of the committee had been coming over to prepare. And you have seen how fruitful and certainly how meaningful, how significant the Mission Congress is. If you fail to listen to the sharing, just download it through, of course, Google's and Facebook, and you will know still in many wonderful ways what mission should mean for all of us. Let's give all the members of the Committee of National Mission Congress, Bishop Sok, with a round of applause. Our brother bishops who have come, allow me to, in a very special way, to say thank you very much for your presence. For many years, Archbishop Pedro Dian, son of Cebu, has not visited us, but for today, for this occasion, Archbishop Pedro Dian is just around. You know, he has been Archbishop of course, of Palma, and many years Bishop in Mindanao. He came back as Bishop Du, and all the other bishops, of course, plus Bishop Dodong, Bishop Tony, all the other bishops who came. Let's give them, please, a round of applause. Our visiting priests, we have seen them. Despite their hectic schedule being Divine Mercy Sunday, they are with us. Shall we give them a round of applause, please? Not only last year, but this past years, we had been in close contact and, of course, friendly, fraternal celebration, collaboration with many of our sisters and brothers in other faiths. But for today, I just would like to mention the presence of Reverend Blas Johannes Pache, UCCP, Reverend Abel Ichual, Iglesia Philippine and Independiente, Reverend Rolly Isgania of the Anglican Church, Pastor Lester Patigdas of United Methodist Church, and some members of other faiths. Let's give them a round of applause, please. Of course, we have seen how the Couples for Christ have volunteered, many of them for mission, and of course for this event. Shall we give Couples for Christ? Please rise. All of you, please. A big round of applause. People know that in Cebu, we had always been in close collaboration with our LGU. Of course, we thank our Governor, Governor Gwen Garcia. She was also yesterday in Buluon. Mayor Mike Rama, Mayor Jonas Cortez, Mayor Ahong Chan, Mayor Samsam Gulias, Councilor Joel Garganera, Chief Implementation of Emergency Operations Center, and all the local government officials here present. Shall we give them a big round of applause, please? Through the years, the many religious congregations, 98 congregations, communities of consecrated life for women, they had been working with us, and 38 communities, congregations for men, they had been working with us. But we mentioned the first 5 who came, the Augustinian OSA, the OAR, the Dominicans, Franciscans, SBD, Jesuits. Let's give them a round of applause, please. Of course, I could not mention all of our various committees. There are too many to be mentioned. They have worked, and God have seen how much they work. I'm looking at the clock. No. Because of that consideration, I know many of our bishops, including the Nuncio and Bishop Pablo David, will be going home. Our Council of the Laity, they did great, all of you. No? So all I would like to say is, we might have closed 500 YOC, but even as we know, the year of grace continues till the end of the year. We have other activities. But what's more important is we look forward to continuing the journey in the spirit of synodality, in the spirit of communion, participation, and mission. In fact, we have defined how we continue the journey. As bishops, we look forward to meeting face-to-face each other in July, after 2 years of just looking at each other through Facebook or, of course, virtually. But that's something great. But for today, to all of you present here in the cathedral, to all of you who participate with us through various social media platforms, to all of you in other parts of the world who especially continued to participate during the Mission Congress, we know, despite COVID, despite death, we were not paralyzed. The grace of God was with us. Santo Niño is with us. Mama Mary is with us. The saints are with us. We continue the journey even if we close 500 YOC with the Holy Mass and the procession this afternoon. And let's look to the future with hope. We know the future could be brighter if, as we admit, we are open to the grace of God and we accept the invitation to use the gifts that we have received in sharing it with others. Kaninyong tanan who are here, daghan kayong salamat. May God bless us all.